Guys, we need to talk about Yemen. Yemen remains one of the largest humanitarian crises in the world, with around 23.7 million people in need of assistance, including almost 13 million children. And today we'll talk with Basheer Omar. Basheer is spokesman of the International Committee of Red Cross. And Basheer, thank you very much for talking to me. Basheer, how is this crisis seen from a local perspective, and what has marked you from the streets?
Hello there. Yes, the crisis in Yemen is so massive, it's beyond imagination. We're talking about more than 60 million people who are food insecure, more than 4 million children, women are accurately malnourished. And since the onset of the conflict, the cost of living, has skyrocketed. The price of food baskets, including rice, lentil, milk, and other stuff, has increased by more than 150%. There are more than 17 million lack access to safe water and adequate sanitation, including more than 11 million people who are in acute need for water assistance. The country is functioning with half of its health facilities. The 50% of the health facilities have been destroyed after 7 years of this protracted conflict in the country. An estimated of 20 million people in Yemen lack access to basic health care, and also more than 4 million have fled their homes since the start of the conflict, including approximately 3.3 million who remain displaced and 1 million returnees.
A truce has been in effect since April 2. We are in Ramadan time. I know that there are prospects for peace negotiations there, but the process has serious flaws, such as leaving out Houthi rebels, for example, who are also protagonists for the conflict. Do you have any hope that the war is finally at an end?
Look, as a humanitarian organization, we welcome any agreement that ultimately leads to improving the humanitarian situation, alleviating the suffering of Yemeni people who have been affected by the ongoing conflict, and keeps the dialogue open for a political solution to the conflict. We believe in the ICRC that the 2 months truce between parties to the conflict comes at the right time. All Yemenis have been bearing the brunt of the conflict over the last 7 years. We hope that the 2 months truce will bring relief and hope for the Yemeni people across the country. This is what we hope. And we also in the ICRC, we hope that the conflict, ends so Yemeni can restart, their life again after, as I said, 7 years of this, protracted conflict.
Bashir, I want to also ask you about the public health issue in Yemen. I know the country has been experiencing a cholera outbreak since 2016, and we are in a COVID pandemic. In such a catastrophic crisis, are there hospitals operating? How is it doing?
Yemen faces regular diseases, outbreaks including cholera, diphtheria, chickenpox, and more recently the COVID-19 pandemic, putting the country's health care system already strained by years of underinvestment and lack of supplies and equipment in disarray. Health workers have faced irregular salary payment, staff shortages, and prolonged stress. In addition, as I said, half of the health facilities have been damaged, destroyed, and are no longer, functional. So there are still we say 50% of the health facilities, including hospital, health clinics, they are functioning. The main hospital in the big cities, they are functioning with the minimum, but they suffer from, as I said, shortages of medical equipment, of materials, of health staff. And Yemen used to have around 5.25 doctors and 7 hospital bed per 10,000 per person, before 2015. After 7 years of unabated conflict, the health system across the country has been severely weakened. About half of its capacity, in the country are out of service, while many of the functioning hospital and centers have very limited capacities. This being, compounded by a brain drain of qualified medical staff to the Gulf states in search for safety and better opportunities. In Yemen, most of the population lack access to health care due to, the destruction of health facilities in their areas, due to lack of financial resources. For us, any new health crisis adds further strain to the already overstretched and undercapacitated health facilities in Yemen. So yes, there are the main hospitals, the referral hospitals are working in the main cities, but with minimum capacity.
Bashir, the world is very moved by the war in Ukraine, which has been the main international highlight of several Western newspapers, including Brazil. Do you feel that the humanitarian crisis in Yemen is underreported? Why? And how is the press working in Yemen?
Yes, we call the international community and those countries that are powerful and have influence on the course of events in the country to try to talk with the parties to the conflict to convince them to sit around the table to find an answer for the conflict in the country. The war in Yemen, because the war has been raging for more than 7 years in Yemen, we see kind of fatigue in the international attention about the conflict in Yemen, because also there are also other conflicts across the world. Therefore, the international community should not, and the humanitarian also organization should not forget the plight of Yemeni people, and they should all work together to end the crisis in Yemen, so Yemeni people can start their lives again from the scratch.
Bashir, what actions has the Red Cross been able to take in Yemen to try to alleviate the suffering of Yemenis?
The ICRC in Yemen has been, providing support and also assist and protect victims of conflict and reinforce support to fragile essential system. The ICRC is focusing on four main sectors: health, economic security, water, and protection, in addition to other humanitarian activities that aim at alleviating the suffering of the Yemeni people. For example, last year we supported more than 46 health facilities across the country, and also more than 1 million consultations were carried out in primary health centers, hospitals, and dialysis centers supported by the ICRC. We also support 5 rehabilitation centers across the country in Sana'a, in Saada, in Taiz, in Aden, in Mukalla. So also we provide also fuel to hospitals across the country. We also, more than last year, more than 50,000 people benefited from the services provided in the ICC supported physical rehabilitation centers in 5 governorates. More than 1,600,000 people benefited from the ICRC economic security activities, including food rations, essential household items, unconditional cash assistance, livelihood cash, also grant, and livestock vaccination. The ICRC is trying to empower people through sustainable projects, through supporting agriculture, through conducting or carrying out a vaccination campaign for livestock, through supporting, beekeepers, livestock beekeepers, and honey beekeepers. For example, last year we supported more than 100,000 livestock beekeepers. They benefited from the ICC supported vaccination and treatment campaigns, and more than 1,000 beekeepers also benefited from the ICC distribution of beekeeping items. We also distribute, tractors to farmers in different parts of the country. We also rehabilitate more than 39 water facilities in the country, providing also generators, fuel for water stations, and also building new hospitals and BRC centers across the country. We also talked to parties to the conflict about the importance of protecting civilians in time of conflict and other situations of violence. We also support the Yemeni Red Crescent Society to be able to respond to a natural disaster and also conflict, and also respond to the needs of the conflict victims in different parts of the country.
Bashir, this is the last one, I promise. Do you want to, leave some message for the Brazilian audience?
Look, we want to tell the Brazilian people that Yemenis are going through one of the hardest time, if not the hardest in their modern history. Parents lie to their children when the clashes, start. They tell them these are fireworks. Some even, created new, characters of superheroes to make the sound of shelling less scary. We want to tell the people in Brazil that sadness is a common trait on the faces of Yemeni these days. It is hard to see what they used to call the happy Yemen. Human suffering has reached its peak in Yemen. Painters sell their paintings for lottery amount of money to buy food. Families sell their furniture to buy food. Kids fear going to schools because they think it is the sound of war. A political solution is the only way for Yemenis to get back to their feet, get back on their feet and live the life they deserve. People are desperate in Yemen and losing hopes as the conflict appears to continue endlessly, in particular the youth. This is what we want to tell the Brazilians people who are living in the other part of the world, and we want to deliver this message to them. And thank you so much.
Basheer Omar, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, for interviewing me, because it's very important for me, like to voice the suffering of the people to journalists like you in Brazil, the other side of the world. And thank you so much, and all the best. So much.